We meandered toward the Congo stage, passing through the open-air festival shopping mall along the way. Featured were commemorative Hawaiian shirts, printed that year with a red beans and rice and bongo drum motif, $40 or $50 apiece. Even the most scantily clad goers seemed to find a place for a credit card somewhere on their person. The lines at the registers were 20 to 30 people deep. Phyllis moved quickly through the booths, and in a few minutes we were standing in the small grassy field at Congo Square. The sky was a vivid, iridium-coated cobalt blue through my cool new sunglasses, with clouds only at the far fringes, hanging low over more remote parts of the city. Despite appearances, we were soon hit by more splashy, heavy raindrops. A small dark cloud shaped like a curled-up poodle dog had marched discreetly in from behind us. It rained without getting dark. The midday sun skirted the cloud's southern edge. The quick shower dampened hats and shoulders and helped to pad down the already flattened grass. But within minutes the sun had dried it all again. Los Bebes Merengues came out in force at 2 on the nose, and the square's empty spaces filled in quickly. Los Bebes were a new phenomenon for me. Fast-paced Latin big band, all wearing flamboyant baggy sleeves under dapper trim vests. The energy on stage was a notch above any live performance I'd ever seen. Phyllis was enjoying it next to me, though a little too crazy, somewhere just past cool enthusiasm into ever so slightly unhinged zaniness, though she did blend in seamless. The music and movement of Los Bebes had that effect, so much more unhinging than the rhythmless drone of an all-American rock band. Grunge, college, alternative, or what have you. After an hour of Los Bebes, the last half of which I, like many others, experienced sitting down, Phyllis suggested a walkabout. I suggested beers, and Phyllis laughed and agreed with me. Leaving the beer stand, I asked Phyllis what she thought Carol's big announcement was. She finally said yes, Phyllis said loudly with a shake of her head to show her disbelief. I wasn't sure she ever would. In fact, I was really pretty sure she wouldn't. But what? I asked, expecting to qualify. But nothing. He must have really laid it on thick this time, that's all. Right, I agreed. I guess she really loves Tony, I added, having to say it out loud to even begin believing it. Well, we all know she loves him. We just didn't think she'd marry him. So the big announcement was obvious. But I wanted more explanation, more insight. Phyllis, I figured, might offer some. What changed her mind? I mean, after all the previous no's. Who knows, Michael? Women can be whimsy, even Carol. I guess she was feeling romantic, and Tony just got lucky with his timing. I really couldn't say. Are you so surprised? Phyllis asked, looking sideways. Who, me? No, not surprised. I just thought, who knows why she did it? It's a complicated situation, as I told you. I guess like all relationships, I offered blandly. She's got a big, flawed young guy who loves her. That's a pretty attractive situation to anyone, Phyllis added. Right, of course, I agreed. I didn't see the logic in it, but my position was a listening one, a learning one. But when had it happened? I wanted to know. What day or what night? And where did he take her? Lake? Favorite restaurant? Favorite spot in the park? Gulf Shores? Maybe she'll explain herself tonight. If she puts big announcement on the invitation, you can bet there will be a story to go with it. Of course, I agreed again. By the way, what time should we be there? When does she want us? Oh, anytime. You can go straight there. I'll probably stop by to see if she needs help. But then I'll go home and shower. The party goes late? I inquired, contemplating the need to rest up first. "Oh, some of it will," Phyllis said with a smile. Phyllis then pinched a piece of my t-shirt and dragged me off the paved path we were on. She led the way through a blanketed middle section where groups of goers seemed to be listening to more than one performance at the same time. A visibly exhausted, sunburnt crowd. College kids spacing out and lying across each other. Young Gen Y guys with 2, sometimes 3 young hippie girls each. The same young and pretty girls talking energetically to each other, or to the odd conversational boyfriend. Phyllis reached behind her for my hand and I gave it to her. She steered me through the mess. There were too many things to trip over, and according to Phyllis, the so-and-so something jazz ensemble was about to go on stage. At the jazz tent we saw all kinds, with a few notable standouts. First, a heavily made-up, powdered 70-something-year-old woman with a long white dress, with white powdered arms and a white powdered neck. She was sitting in one of the jazz tent's folding chairs holding an equally white umbrella, open and dangerous looking, with sharp, downward-pointing points. A very rounded umbrella, designed as much for shade as for protection from rain. I wasn't sure which. She was alone and the chairs on all sides of her were empty. Had anyone been sitting in those seats? The umbrella points would have planted themselves in the skulls of her victims. The second major oddity was an extremely self-confident man dancing in the aisles. A slightly thick-set guy in his mid to late 40s with bright purple parachute pants and a pink tank top cut above the belly button and then sliced again many times up toward the neck in a special effect like a Native American fringe. His tan belly was not quite fat, but had certainly been introduced to a handful of beers over the years, though probably as trim as it was on account of all the dancing. He carried with him high over his head a featherweight purple handkerchief which twirled and jumped around him as he danced. Maybe a Morris dancer who had long ago strayed from the troupe. His hair was sparse but ran in curls into a peltish gathering behind his neck, a little like the hairstyle professional hockey players wear, either for its unique style or for the comfort it provides under the helmets. A non-hockey player can't be sure. The mullet. With real magic in his eyes, the pink and purple dancing man ran and jumped and twirled through the jazz tent through most of the jazz ensemble's performance. When the generous purple dervish wasn't whirling up the aisles next to us, the performance was mellow and enjoyable. It was good to be under the tent after several hours out, a chance to wind down, and thanks to Phyllis, 2 chairs for us to wind down with. By day's end, the tented venues always fill and you have to be quick to get seats. At just before 5, the sky went dark and the ceiling of the tent went from bright white to dark gray. The rain fell hard and undeterred for half an hour. The crowds at the tent's edges went from escaping the sun to escaping the rain. Young and old women alike in white shirts of various styles, wishing to be discreet, took cover from the heavy rain's revelations. A growing stream of goers went for the gates when it appeared for sure the day would be a washout. The jazz ensemble played on, and probably sounded good up front, but was completely drowned out by the drumming of the rain on the tent's topside. The dancing man danced out under a tent flap into the parking lot and disappeared. And many others followed suit, though none of the people lucky enough to be in chairs. We stayed seated and enjoyed our good fortune. We stayed even after the band gave up, figuring that heavy, muddy rain wouldn't last forever. And it didn't. At 5:30 it was sunny. Steam rose 3 feet off the pathways and pavement in the parking lot. The crowds had thinned somewhat, but the 5:30 showtimes were unaffected. A band that sounded a lot like the Doobie Brothers started playing their set on the Ray-Ban stage to a drenched and muddied full field. Phyllis suggested we pass by, but the area approaching the side of the Ray-Ban stage was too densely packed and the walkway into the field was impassable. Agreeing to call it a day, we slipped onto the horse track, passed the long, sad lines of the porta-johns, and exited the fairgrounds at Mystery Street next to a lineup of fumey rock and roll tour buses. Phyllis and I split at the Triangle. She headed to Carol's as planned, and I headed back to Orleans for a shower and possible nap. See you in a little while, hon, said Phyllis, parting. Yeah, tell Carol I'll be there around 7 probably, I said for no real reason. Okay, Phyllis laughed, seeming to dismiss the pointless comment. I'll tell her.